No worries.
Cool. So how did you find the experience? I mean,
Yeah,
you pitched before, obviously, but how did you find ours?
yes, I've done, I think that well over 500. But admittedly, a lot of those have been on Zoom and a lot of those have been in person. And no matter what you do, whether it's one-on-one or virtual or to a mass audience, it always feels different. I think it was really, really good overall. Very cleanly run in terms of like through presentation, timings, prep. So from that perspective, all good. I'm glad that you added the questions. I think it's really, really important. One of the things that I know has happened before when I've done things like this is the worst case scenario because you want to have a tight pitch, you need it to be short. I've done some 3 minutes, I've done 5 minutes, I've done 8 minutes. 5's nice. The worst case scenario is people getting to say their feedback and they've got something completely wrong. And the classic for us is people always assume we're gambling when we have spent so much time and energy making sure we're not. And of course, you only have to have one person on a call like this go, really love what you're doing. I'm not into gambling myself. And then, of course, if you don't get a chance to respond to that, it can be challenging. So really glad that the opportunity arose. I think it would be interesting to, and you even saw it yourself in the call, going person feedback wasn't perfect, but also going all three and then having a longer duration also doesn't quite work because you're trying to fight, that which one was in your head, you're trying to retain the question. So maybe a really short, sharp response, but after each bull could be a nice way of doing it, like a 30 seconds maximum. Because I think it really drives you to just hit on the one thing that's been said, none of the preamble, none of the, well, thank you for that question. I think it's really good. So Paul said that just if someone says, my feedback is this, and this, but I'd just really love to understand how you're actually going to make any money. You get 30 seconds to go, revenue stream 1, this, revenue stream 2, this is how much. So I think the questions, just tighten it up, but it needs to be after each bull rather than panic writing a list of all of the questions.
Yeah. And I think it was a good learning experience because that was the first time we've done it. So it was trying to figure out, and I don't think that, that Georgina was prepared at that point in time to hit things. And then it kind of was the same question again. And I guess we have to say, and if there is no need for a response, then there's no need for a response.
Yeah.
It's like, if you could just say, thanks for that, move on. But that's, we could tighten that bit of it up.
And I think that also becomes a really valuable part of the pitch practice workshop that you do. It's about prepping them, not just for talking at people, but responding. Because I did a similar thing before with maybe 15 to 20 angels. And the only deal was the angels in the room submitted their questions and they were read out by a moderator, but you only could answer for 2 minutes. So of course, the whole training element was if someone asks you about something, the moderator just reads the question, but if the answer could be no or yes, you just do that. And because you want the moderator to ask the next one, you kind of want to fly through. So I do think it's so valuable to then add to the pitch practice, the response to questions as much as the just going through something that you've rehearsed.
And I know you kind of learned as you went along, or you've done it lots of times, but what was different about this, or what would you have prepared differently ahead of coming into the BullRIng versus anything else that you've pitched at before? If you were telling yourself before you came into pitch perfect practice?
That's quite a difficult one. I think truthfully, a lot of the things that I'd normally want to say were already covered. I think a lot of the fears are around technical. So the fact that we were logging on before, we're doing all that sort of stuff. I mean, I know for Georgina and Dan, the fact that even at the pitch practice stage, we're talking about head height, we're talking about lighting and stuff like that. So all of those things are normally the nervousness, the order, you don't want to be sitting there not knowing, but again, that was all shared in advance. I don't think it answers your question specifically, BD, but my only feedback that I put into the sheet was it'd be really nice to know who's in the room. I guess you're collecting that information. And I think one of the things, particularly when it comes to answering questions or talking about a pitch, it's fantastic if you can just relate it to the people that are in the room. So even if you just know a name, industry, has invested before, yes or no, it just allows you to use phrases like, for those in the room that haven't invested in small businesses before, we are EIS eligible, which you can read about online, rather than just saying, and it's EIS. And it's just small changes you can make. Or I don't know, if one of them is in retail, Daniel can just refer to, I know there's people in retail in the room who will absolutely understand these challenges. Or so I'd say that it was honestly the only thing that I put down in my form.
That's cool. So if we were teaching people in pitch perfect practice, when we can't actually control, we know kind of who's going to show up, and then we don't know who's actually going to show up. Do you think we should teach them, or they should learn that they should say, for those people, if there's people in retail in the room, you will know this, or if there's people that are in gaming in the room but not gambling, that or something like this, should they work that into their practice?
I always think you should put any small nuggets in that can make anything more personable. And that's mainly because it's not one-to-one. If we were having a pitch, I would say your name in every example I give. But when you're in a big room, you can't do that. So at least if if there's a few people from industry, or whether there's some people that won't, the other side of that is, if you absolutely know that 90% of the people in the room have no idea what you're on about, your pitch is completely different. You're not talking about technicals. You don't say acronyms, you say the full thing, or even better, you say what the thing means rather than the name or the acronym. So I do think it's important to just use law of averages and go, if I'm a manufacturing product and everybody in the room has a title like healthcare or digital this or marketing, then I probably need to explain in a little more detail why this is valuable to people in my industry, because the people in the room won't know, but it doesn't stop them investing.
Perfect. No, that's really good. And you closed out your round on Thursday night, it sounded like, after the BullRIng. Very cool.
Yeah, I had a literally just as I was getting ready to take the video, crop it, put it onto online and stuff like that, I had a call with a guy that I've been trying to get a meeting with him for a while. And he just said, have you had a good day? And I said, well, I've literally 10 minutes ago just come off presenting to 20 or 30 people about the business and about investing. And he said, did it go well? I said, yeah, I think it was really, really good. He said, do you think that the round's going to close quickly? I said, very. And he said, so could I take the whole thing then? So I didn't actually even give him the pitch.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, because if he wanted to be in before anybody else might have had a dabble at it.
Exactly. And I think the fact that I could stand there and say, well, I've just told 30 more people about the business, made him want to jump over the line. So
yeah, from that, I think ITV as your anchor also helps. I mean, the knowledge that somebody big, government and risk adverse is into you guys in some way, shape, or form always helps them go, oh, okay, well, then you must be somebody.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. And of course, we had other people that were that anchor before we had ITV, it's kind of, to be fair, but it's actually a really good point. You're always looking for those anchors. It's a strategic advisor in the early days, then it's a strategic employee, then it's a strategic board member, and then it's a VC, an institution, a well-known name, a government body, an Innovate UK grant or something like that. So yeah, always fighting for those anchors, and they just gradually get better and better, don't they?
Awesome, man. Well, that was great. And is there anybody you can think of that should be pitching? Because we've got a spot open in May and we've got 2 open in June. So if you and your business partner could think of anybody that should be pitching.
I do have some guys that I've been doing some coaching with, and they're about to open a pre-seed round for a digital fashion app that's all about basically helping small brands have the functionality required to become a big player. So it's a really nice little business, but they're super early stage and they've not got a lot of experience. So I think it could be valuable.
Look at Georgina. She's had a lot of pitching practice, but not a lot of business practice yet. So and Daniel's the same way. So it is just a showcase for good businesses. So it's and good business owners actually.
I will actually send them over, because did you say that's in a month's time?
Yeah, it's May 12th. Just send them to team. Just send them to Lauren, and she'll get all the details for them. Just copy her and Lauren, or them and Lauren in, and she'll get everything else sorted.
Yeah, I will do. No, I think that could be really, really good for them. I keep telling them, I literally had the conversation with them last night and I said, you just have to go through the shit first. You know, people, you need to get asked the tough questions. You need to stumble. And only going through that, like you say, if Georgina's got, doing more and more practice, it'll, these things sort of roll off, but the first 100 are bad. There's no doubt about it.
Definitely. Cool, man. Okay, well, let's keep in touch too, and tell me how you're going on and everything else. So, and
absolutely,
if we can help.
We'll do. No, really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nathan. Talk to you later.
Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye.